Introduction. Revenge is a tool built best with suitable, not fear, but time. To some, revenge means resulting to violence because it is what feels right. It feels good to let out the anger or the hatred. Is it though? Time and time again, we have seen examples of where you are passionate about something or someone. It ultimately motivates you to a course of action. Thereby, our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness, to explain in terms to which you will understand this better. You may say that your partner is the best thing that ever happened to you. They bring out all the good things about yourself for everyone to see. So your girlfriend or wife is referred to as your better half, which is a term you may have heard used. So what if that person is used against you? Displaying too openly that you are devoted to one person ultimately provides someone the perfect means to get revenge against you without even laying a finger on you. Thereby, your greatest source of strength is now also your greatest weakness. Others only need to plant the seed of doubt with the possibility and not actually do anything can set things in motions to unravel your nerve, using fear to get their revenge by allowing time to do its thing. Fear is one thing, but time mixed with doubt can be a real killer. You think there isn't a man who goes to bed with a woman who isn't wondering if she has an ice pick under the mattress after watching the movie Basic Instinct? Sure, it may seem silly or preposterous. However, it isn't so when the lights get turned off and your partner just strapped your hands to the headboard and gagged you with her hot, lacy panties. Just for an instant, there is that potential where fiction, fear, and doubt merge with perfect timing. That, my friends, is control. That is the ultimate reward for anyone seeking revenge to reestablish control, to right a wrong where we feel the victim. Be it someone that looks at us the wrong way, said something wrong, or did something wrong. In whatever we feel unfair for that moment, you admitted weakness, meaning you had lost control. To reestablish that control in our own mind and in the person of the mind who wronged us, we need to strike revenge. This is all revenge is about. Now, if you add all of that to the complexity of a woman's mind, the options multiply. If she knows, then the options are endless. For someone, there would be limits to how far you would go to seek your revenge. When she knows, all options are on the table. So to any boyfriends or husbands out there listening, be very careful when you decide to tempt fate or call her fat. I made that mistake once to no one ever again. The ignorance of you will most likely be saying, how bad could it be? I mean, the worst they can do is break up with me. Well, all I will say is try it. If she knows, then she will make Puppet Master of the 1989 movie look like a novice in comparison when she is done with you. Don't you know? She knows. This maybe sounds simple enough to plan out and predict and or prevent. I would say this if I were to combine the other qualities we learned in the previous title. It isn't so easy anymore, is it? Cold, calculating, double talk, with her intuition, with her knowing you and how you operate, knowing how to shape her appearance to you, with her knowing you better than you know yourself. It may as well just be your better half that could be the most dangerous, costly, and deadliest person you will ever come to meet. There you were thinking you would die from global warming or World War III. Trust me, she knows. Chapter 2. What lengths would you go for revenge? How bad must everything get to actually make you want to go and carry out that revenge? What does it mean to you? Revenge that one takes is limited to and by oneself, normally out of desperation. So if you take that as your starting point, what then? Killing is too easy, and more often than not, you lose your freedom because you underestimated the physical and biological evidence, forensic evidence. So I ask again, what is revenge to you? A Desert Eagle silver laid on a side table in a dark, manky, smoky motel room, silhouetted by the sun. A man was hunched over, sitting on the side of the bed with his face in his hands resting on his knees, with 8 bottles of empty scotch discarded around his feet. The Desert Eagle had gold-framed handle plates, while facing up read, "Silly boys, guns are for girls." On the flip side was the female symbol. Engraved along the side of the barrel was her name, Lady. It was several years ago now, since the night at the local airport in New York City. It all started when the British police force got outplayed by a 14-year-old girl. She came to New York on a student visa and immigrated once that was over. The British police were convinced the girl was guilty of a murder, which she got away with. So they had sent the police sergeant and the detective that was in charge of her case over to New York City. In an exchange program, he joined up with the New York City department. For a while, their target was laying low, staying off the internet, and was hard to track. However, she left traces of her old self, her old style, which, figuratively speaking, was her fingerprint. As a boyfriend of Courtney was found shot dead by her father. Although she hadn't been the one to fire the gun, it was believed she orchestrated the events leading up to that point. Then, 4 years later, an explosion of a house from an apparent oil explosion killed the entire family of Courtney. Courtney was found 4,000 miles away in England pretending to be the girl, which destroyed any remote possibility of bringing a criminal case to her in England. She was found dead, killed by the father of Raven, who in turn was apparently responsible for blowing up the house. Then, not forgetting at that exact same time, Mrs. Howard, the wife of Captain Howard, a con artist, was killed while she was getting her hair done at Credos. A heating iron that sat on top of a phone fell into the sink, instantly electrocuting Mrs. Howard. It was known that she was blackmailing and had sex with Mr. Courtney. However, that evidence was destroyed with it and the phone, along with any chance they had to arrest this girl. All of it had the smell of this girl, now woman, and still they were not able to touch her for any of the murders. All of this was an example of one person's revenge. The case files laying scattered all over the motel room floor, endless pictures and papers scattered everywhere in the very humid room. The feeling of dejection was weighing heavy in the air, along with the plumes of cigar smoke and the smell of moldy alcohols spilled everywhere, joining the stains of the previous occupants that visited this room. The only annoying thing about all of this was, although he knew to himself that she was behind it all, he didn't know how they were all linked. His emotions were used against him, toyed with by her when she kidnapped Sarah, his partner, whom he fell in love with. That love left him with the decision of either saving Chris or the woman he loved, who both lay dying in front of him. He picked up Lady and pressed up to his right temple. Outside the street, a silhouette of a woman stood watching as a car with police lights flashing came screeching to a halt. The driver, a female, exited the vehicle and began running as fast as she could towards the motel room. She busted through the door. A flash of light and loud, piercing bang rang throughout, followed by the wailing, screeching cries of a very distraught woman. As a second detective car pulled up, followed by Washington police cars, the woman who stood watching closed her eyes, turned around, and walked into the shadows unseen.